Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And Coach, great homecoming as far as the weekend goes with the football game. The only bad part was the weather. It kind of didn't cooperate, kept the crowd down, but your team certainly cooperated in a great victory this past weekend. When you look back, what to you was the most positive thing of that football game?
We won. We won. I love before the rain came. I saw the parking lots. I saw people tailgating. I saw people having a great time. I thought that was awesome. And we won, but we did what we had been doing for the last couple of weeks, just on a Saturday. We just got better. Bit by bit, day by day, we just got a little bit better.
You were taking on a Rhode Island team that was ranked 12th in the country, and they came in and their offense had at times been very, very powerful. You shut down all aspects of their game. I mean, they only had 160 yards of total offense. That's got to be one of the best defensive performances by a Towson team in many, many years.
Oh, most definitely, and certainly at homecoming.
And when you consider the opponent, it's a combination.
But we knew they were a very explosive offense. And, part of the ability to beat a team with those kind of weapons that respected is try to keep your defense off the field. And we need to be very efficient offensively. Time of possession in a game like that was huge. Possession of the ball in a game like that was huge. We didn't turn the ball over offensively, and they did. And, offensively, we ran somewhere between 75 and 80 plays, and defensively, we ran between 50 and 60 plays. So as deep as we are on defense, the ability to get ahead of them on offense, to control the clock for most of the game and put them in a position where they basically had to stop running the ball and throw it, it definitely played into our hands. It was a little bit of a perfect storm, something we're looking forward to, and let's do it again.
Absolutely, let's do it again. Well, we gotta mention Christian Dixon, named the CAA Defensive Player of the Week. Transfer from Butler. He has just been a phenomenal player for you at the linebacker position. The game he had on Saturday, it seemed like every play I was calling his number.
A true joy of the job is watching these guys grow up. The game of football helping them grow up within the program. For him to have the success he had Saturday, after all the things that he has had to live through in his personal life of recent note, it's not just the historical stuff that everybody else knows, but there's some other personal things that happened in the very near past. It's been challenging him for weeks, and to see him come out the back end of it. I could have told you Saturday morning while I'm getting my coffee, and he's coming down to breakfast, and he's bouncing off the wall. Come on, coach, come on, we're getting this. We're getting bouncing off the walls. I knew this was going to happen. I couldn't be more happy for him.
Yeah, it was just a tremendous performance by him. And offensively, you were very efficient. And in those weather conditions, to not turn the football over was quite an accomplishment also.
I go back to the King playoff game. We were a really, really good football team. They had the ability to score a lot of points and be really, really dynamic. And you play in a hurricane and a torrential downpour with 3.5 inches of what? Nobody's dynamic anymore. And if we had long conversation about this after that, and if you're gonna play in the FCS playoffs, you better be able to run the ball and defend the run, because the weather doesn't get good. It's bad everywhere you go, and it's December everywhere you go, and you have to be able to control the ball to some degree because you're going to play in bad weather. We were unprepared for that, and it won't ever happen again.
I'm going to be like a football coach. That game's in the past now. I mean, it's over. Time to move on. Next opponent. And this week, William and Mary, a team that has the same record as you in the CAA, 2-1. They're 4-2 overall. They're coming off a loss at Maine. Always tough to go up to Maine and play, but they do have some explosive offensive players. Donovan Lester, their running back, averaging just over 5 yards a carry. Their quarterback, Darius Wilson, averages over 6 yards per carry, plus has thrown for almost 700 yards. So they have some dynamic players on the offensive side.
They are, it's a great word, extremely dynamic, very, very dangerous, pretty wide open. They're the number one rushing team in the conference. And with that, they're number one pass protecting team in the conference. So supposedly their offensive line is the number one offensive line in this conference. And our guys know all about that.
Well, I'm looking at my notes. My next point was they've only given up 5 sacks, but they have created 16 sacks on defense. That's a good ratio when you have 16 sacks on the defensive ends and only given up 5. That's
an exceptional ratio. They have the number 1 and the number 3 sack leader in the conference in their starting front 4. So yes, they are a very good football team.
So what do you do to contain that?
We got to block them. We understand who we're dealing with. And the goal is when you face talented players like that, you don't let them break the game. No offense. We got an offensive line too, and they're pretty darn good. As a matter of fact, they keep getting better every single week. The pass pro gets better. The run game gets better. So we're just going to keep on growing. But we will know where those 2 individuals are on every single play.
They are also a team like you that still has aspirations to win the CAA. So, going down there, it's going to be a fired up crowd and it's going to be a fired up football team. And now after 2 weeks at home, you go back on the road. Not always an easy thing to do.
Nope. Winning on the road in the CAA is extremely hard, but I'm sure it's not going to be nearly as difficult as it would have been to go to New England or go to California. So I think a couple hours down the road will be okay.
They are a defense that has given up some yardage, though. They're giving up almost 400 yards per football game. And it's kind of balanced on the defensive side. You were able to exploit Rhode Island, which also was giving up almost 400 yards on the offensive side. So I guess for you as the play caller, there are things you will try to exploit on Saturday. How many changes can you make on the defensive side? In other words, if you're William and Mary, you see, well, we're giving up almost 400 yards per game. What adjustments can we make? How many adjustments are made in season from that aspect?
As many as need to be. I mean, it's as small, if you call it small, as making one personnel move, or it could be as big as making multiple moves and taking a different attitude within the scheme that you run. So, when we went through the bye week, we did, and we do this every week, but you really nitpick during the bye week and you do a self-scout of what you think you're good at, what you think you're not good at. And then you go look at it and go, well, now we're really good at this, but we really stink at this. And it's how important is it the thing we stink at? Do we need to stop doing that entirely, or do we need to tweak it so we don't stink in it anymore? So how much is done during a season? Probably a ton. If you take the team that you think you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to be on August 1st, and you look at it and who you are at the end of November, December, oh yeah, there's an evolution that happens in every team and every year. And sometimes you can predict it a little bit, but not always. It just evolves.
From a defensive standpoint, I know on offense, you're always adding plays, adding wrinkles. For instance, the double reverse that you used there the other day with the Wildcat. When did you put that into the playbook? Was that something that's been in there for months, or was that something that you just added?
We have a library of stuff that we have in our kind of encyclopedia that sits over there, and we have stuff that we can draw from, but we did not install that until last Monday. We ran it last Monday. We ran it against our defense, and our defense coordinator went, uh-oh. And he goes, I like that play. So it worked against our defense. We practiced it all week. The kids were comfortable with it, had no problem using it.
So you're constantly adding plays to the playbook on the offensive side. Do you do that on the defensive side? I mean, are there a lot of adjustments you can make, or, we're 4-3, this is what we're going to do? Are there a lot of defensive plays you can add?
You can. On occasion you can, but it also depends on who you're playing and what they are. If you're dealing with a team that's completely multiple and play like we are, that goes from 10 personnel or empty all the way down to a condensed set with like 3 tight ends and 3 tackles, it's really hard to totally go, okay, we're going to try this one thing. But if they do this other thing, we got to get out of it. We got to get out of it, or it won't work. It just won't work. And so that's kind of hard to do. Defensively, it's more like how long can you stick to your fundamentals, no matter what the other team does. that, you can tweak a blitz or a stunt, but really there's only so many movements that they can actually make. It's kind of like there's 11 players. It's almost like chess. It's a finite number of mathematical moves. The options are more on offense than they are on defense.
Well, hopefully you make the right moves offensively this week as the Tigers take on William and Mary at 3:30. Coach, thanks for joining us, and we will talk again next week.
Thanks, Spiro.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Tiger Football Report.